Hello, you beautiful people on YouTube and Rumble. Oh boy, what a fucking shit show do I have for you about Microslop. I just call them micro dicks. Well, shit's gonna hit the fan pretty hard. And I figured out how to make scenes on OBS now on Linux. And yes, I am on Linux, basically Fedora KDE. Alright, well, the first thing I'm going to start off with is basically Microslop. Since they are installing AI in every single crevice and corner, and the fact that they're not admitting their own defeat because of their stupidity, well, you can blame Satya Nadella for the mistakes he did, and he's continuing to ignore it. But they did take out one very important tool in Windows. And it's not a feature. It's called the control panel. And the control panel, actually, you're able to administrator stuff, but I guess they don't want the AI taking control of that. But again, I don't trust the AI that they're implementing, basically Copilot, and now they got in recall, which is also a red flag. And I mentioned this before, where it takes screenshots of your entire desktop, and like every 5 seconds, but it's really every 5 milliseconds. So they're basically recording of what you're doing. And that's really a privacy violation regardless of the matter. So that is on Microslop itself. Don't mind me, I'm wearing 2 glasses. That actually helps if I can actually get my glasses to sit right together. Hello? There we go. Okay. Just call me this 8-eyed freak. My other pair of glasses basically just broke. The other arm finally broke, so. Of course, and now I got reflections on my glasses and it's interfering with my sight. So. I'm going to say it right now, since Windows, or Microsoft Windows, is now since they removed the important feature like control panel, and they're letting AI do its own thing with your PC, or your or your home computer, or home built, or custom built. And I've been hearing of that they've been breaking a lot of big PCs, and they're not supposed to do that. And by law, that's actually a privacy concern. Not only that, I wouldn't even trust Microsoft Windows in a hot millisecond. There's a damn good reason why. I already mentioned it about recall, basically taking screenshots, and they're basically recording of what you're doing. And it's saying, oh, it's recording into a database where it's secured. My ass. SQLite server, and it can easily be read by SH256. No, that's not secured, and it's unencrypted. They're saying, yeah, it's unencrypted to them, so the hackers can read the documents. And basically, if it's an SQL server is basically a database server And that's probably what's taking up most of your resources too, because it's really made to run in the background of a server itself and basically server grade stuff. But I'm going to read my notes as I go. But they are pushing AI deeper into. They're actually pushing AI into full control. Plus, outdating systems that are well capable of running Windows 11. They want the NPU chip installed in all computers. So in other words, they want that NPU chip, which is basically, if you don't know what that means, neurological processing unit. Well, we don't need a Terminator. I can tell you that. If you watch the Terminator movies, I think you would understand. Here's the thing. Users are switching to Linux because of the control panel removal done by Microsoft. I got one very important question about Microsoft. Why did they remove the control panel? Oh, it's too confusing. They don't know what they're doing. They're too dumb. I'm going to scene switch here. If you don't know what a control panel is, Microsoft, I would sit down and shut the fuck up. Seriously. This is a control panel. And this is Linux. And it runs well. You don't believe me? Try that. You can't do those commands in fucking Windows and CMD. It would go, huh? What are you talking about? I can't understand. So that Microsoft, you're actually done yourself. You actually dug yourself into a grave. And technically, Microsoft, since you tried to take control over my computer, I am going to sue the fuck out of you. It's going to happen. And it'll be indefinite. Back to my scene one. And I said this before about Microsoft, basically about Microsoft, the Microsoft Exodus, or Exodus, or basically Exodus of Microsoft Windows. It's not that hard to switch to Linux. It really isn't. That's why you get into the technical terms of like basically terminal, which is still the same thing as CMD. Basically, you guys are still running fucking Linux. Honestly. I'm going to say this right now. You people who are still on Windows, on Microsoft Windows 11, you will notice you will notice the results, compare them to. You will notice the results when you switch to Linux. And you will notice the results from Winblows, because that's Windows now. And you will actually notice the performance difference. I am dead serious. Microsoft has been making broken updates for Microsoft Windows 11 since they started in 2024. I think that shit started in 2024. And whoever thought that they can use AI to use for their programming, you are dumb. You are really dumb. And plus, they're also installing spyware with malware, basically installing Trojans in your computer to control what you're doing and deleting and creating files while you sleep or taking screenshots of your significant other. That's a red flag. Period. There's no ifs or buts about it. That's a red flag. And now the FBI, the police force, basically the law enforcement, all the law enforcement, including the agencies, firefighters, and medical now, they have privacy concerns, and technically the law enforcement is actually investigating your asses, Microslop. They are investigating your asses. There's no ifs or buts about it. They're going to investigate. They're probably going to investigate your servers. And they're going to say, this is a fraud. The other thing is that Microsoft never listened to in 2024. When Satya Nadella basically took over Microsoft, they stopped listening completely. When Satya Nadella basically took over Microsoft. You don't listen to yourself. You listen to people who are complaining about an issue with an update or whatever. But since you got Hindu, Indian fucks or Muslim fucks in your fucking offices, I don't trust you at all, Microsoft. I don't trust you at all now. There is no ifs or buts about it. I am not returning to Microsoft. This is another note and it should be considered. And I think I think the law enforcement needs to take this into consideration if my thing would stop flipping over. It's annoying the shit out of me. Microsoft is opening back doors for hackers to get your info and banking details with credit cards. Basically, your personal information and all that, too. And by law, you're not supposed to do that. Unless you committed a crime. Which in most cases you did, Microsoft. You have. Taking off my glasses, I'm getting... Plus, recall is helping those idiots in India, mainly India and Iran, basically third world countries. I know what they're doing. They're doing it for their own kin. It's called Racism 101, which is against the First Amendment. So fuck you, Microsoft. Not Bill Gates, Microsoft itself, basically Satya Nadella. And those Hindu fucks. Microsoft needs to be sued for every penny they stole. They stole frustration, time, and they need to be federally investigated along with full company shutdown. They need to be shut down. If they're invading your privacy, they need to be shut down, period. And I vote that they need to be shut down. There's no ifs or buts about it. They are invading your privacy. They're being invasive. They want to know what you're doing. What if you're having, intercourse with your significant other? If you're doing something on the web, or you're typing something or a document or whatever, and it's none of your business. That's privacy. That's privacy invading. That's privacy invading. And you should be shut down. Microsoft. I'm going to start calling you Microtex Windblows version 1.1. Linux, the Linux OSs tells a different story and giving the user full control to do whatever he or she wants. I'm on Linux, recording this video. Do I have a problem? No. Do I have a problem running Windows programs? Some, but mainly all the Windows programs are basically exe files are going to be .sh's at some point, because all you need is a script to run them in Wine, Proton. I mean, most of the games that I have right now, like Satisfactory or fucking Deep Rock, or any other games that's in Steam, runs flawlessly on Linux. And I have noticed the performance difference in gaming too. That's a fact. And I got more news about Microslop. Windows 12 is coming out, but they're trying to roll it out now this year in 2026. But now it's being recalled because there's a big backlash on Windows 11. And now they don't have the funds to release Windows 12, which Windows 12 will basically make you pay for a subscription like Xbox, where you have to pay every month for a subscription to use your OS. An OS should be free. An OS should be free, period. And like Linux, and Linux gets the picture. I mean, I have no idea what you're doing over there. You're probably doing this a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if you are, because you're a bunch of shit bathers and scammers. And basically, Microsoft, you disconnected yourselves from the feedback from users. You're not listening to users. You're doing your own thing. You think it's funny to make us basically make every single user on Microsoft or using Microsoft Windows suffer because you think it's funny. You know what I think is funny? Hacking your fucking systems and basically shutting you down permanently with the I love you virus. And I could do that in less than a heartbeat. And you wouldn't know what hit you. You have no idea how skilled I am. But Microsoft is pushing for more control over your PC, laptop unit, so they can control what you're doing and letting AI take over of what you're going to be. That's what is going to be is basically in Winslop 12. Basically, they're going to let AI take over full control. They're going to have AI take full control of your computer and let you do nothing. And by law, that's actually a red flag. And again, I don't want to mention that there's a Terminator chip in your computer too, if you have it. It's called the NPU. And you don't need an AI thinking for itself, because the AI is going to say, oh, humans are horrible and they're evil and this and this and that. We don't need that. We do not need that. If an AI is basically listening to this, listen clearly. We don't need that. We don't. We don't want a Terminator war, period. And you have been warned before, Microsoft. And basically, they're calling themselves Microslop or Microsoft still. But now I'm calling them Microdicks because they did this shit to themselves. And they're Satanist heretics, basically, because of Satya Nadella, who is a fucking whoever fuck he was. I guess a Muslim, Hindu, Indian. I have no idea. But you can call me a racist all you want, but I'm being honest. Because they are only caring about their own kin. And that is a red flag, period. Basically, he goes against the First Amendment federally, and they're violating all the laws right there. So, I wonder what's going on there. The only thing is those bastards are pushing for New World Order, and they are not going to stop. Basically, they're trying to play the games with WEF, World Economic Forum, and we don't need that. Like fucking Klaus Schwab going, and he said one of his speeches, he goes, "You own to nothing. You'll be happy." Yeah, you'll be happy, but you'll be a slave. We don't need that. Linux, on the other hand, works flawlessly without a hitch. And it does. It works without a hitch. I mean, it might have a few glitches here and there, but it's very few. And sometimes you can actually fix them with like scripts and everything. So you can make your own script. If you have a KDE desktop and you are able to run and you're able to like run your own scripts or whatever and you're able to fix them, great. And it actually gives you more power to you. And you know what you're doing. I'm going to say it right now. Microsoft already lost. They lost it when they sold to India from the Windows XP era. And I'm being honest, when they sold the XP to India, that's when they lost it, in a way. They gained, yes, but they also lost it at the same time because those motherfuckers are pirates or scammer pirates. I don't know what you want to call them. Linux, on the other hand, works. Yeah, I said that. Blame Satya Nadella for going with the UN and WEF. As for anyone else still on wind blows, you are at risk. As in security risk. As in your information will be exposed. And you can be easily doxxed. I'm being serious. And that's not a joke. That's an actual risk, and they're basically a security risk now. So they screwed up. Not the users. And not only that, I want to add a little something. Basically, over 3.5 billion users left Windows because of the AI slop. 3.5 billion. And it might be over 3.5 billion. And their stocks are basically plummeting, like as Linux stocks and basically Android stocks go straight up. You kind of screwed yourselves. I don't know what else to tell you. Uninstall Windows. And if you're just basically a beginner on using Linux, I'm going to tell you right now, you can use Zorin 18 OS or Linux Mint or Ubuntu as a starter. Now, if you start to get to advanced stages, like, whatever, you will notice the difference. You will actually notice the difference, and you will not go back to wind blows. I'm going to finish off reading my note here. Uninstall Windows and install either Zorin or Ubuntu for the advanced. You can go either or any of the Linux distros, basically Linux distributions. There's like 30 plus distributions out there right now. Some are a failure at start, but some are not. I'm on Fedora, which is basically one of the mainline distros, and it works flawlessly. Ubuntu, it's basically Debian, and Debian itself is Debian. Arch Linux, that is something different entirely. And Arch Linux, they say, oh, it uses, you're a hacker, you're doing that. Shut the fuck up. If you think Arch Linux or anything like that, or whatever, I don't think you understand. Because there is a hacker OS, and it only can be ran on an USB stick drive. Because I ran it. It's called, what is it? Black Arc. I think it's Black Arc OS, which is something you don't want to mess with unless you know what you're doing. I'm going to say it right now, but Microsoft's recall feature is great. But one flaw: security. And basically, hackers can read those text documents too, or a text document SQL database. Any hacker can read that data from your device, as in logins, passwords, even banking details, credit cards, and basically your full info where you are. If they're really that deep into like stabby, burn, basically killing you, that's a red flag. That is really a red flag. We don't need that shit. I'm going to say it right now. Windows is no longer an OS. It is mainly a malware OS created by former hackers from a third world country like Iran or Iraq or India, whatever country that I didn't name either. So, third world countries, you're basically red flagged for programming fraud. And people are saying you can't C++ on Linux. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because I can look at the C++ coding and I can edit it too. Basically in Notepad. Or not Notepad, fucking Kwrite or whatever. The internal Notepad in Linux. And basically the internal Notepad in Linux is basically like Notepad, but it's like it's like Notepad plus plus or something. And Notepad plus plus I wouldn't download because it's got also a security flaw. And I have no idea what's going on with it, so I wouldn't download it for right now. So I'm going to say this right now. Microsoft Windows is no longer safe. It keeps records. It records whatever you are doing on your computer. Hackers can gain access to your accounts. Plus, recall is a privacy invasive feature that Microsoft made. Now, it is an OS that is no longer safe. Switch to Linux, Debian, Fedora, Arch, Catchy OS, Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Cinnamon 8 or XFC, Bazite OS or Zorin 18 OS, or Pop OS. Those are your best options if you want to switch to an alternative OS. Or you can buy a Mac or an Apple computer. Those are your best options. Or stay on Windows and suffer. Your call. And that's a statement. That's an honest to God statement. If you want to stay on Windows, have fun. But Macintosh also gotten slapped across the face and have fun too. Linux is basically your best option. And not only that, Microsoft, you really screwed up. You really did. You're not going to get any better anytime soon or later. Because probably by 2030 or by 2040, will be down to zero. And Bill Gates basically started that company in the 1980s. And he built the foundation and everything. And you just ruined it. So you know, Della. You just ruined it. So my recommendation is that either you step down and let somebody else take over in programming wise, or just shut down your company completely. Because you're nothing more than a history stain on fucking shorts. Basically a shit stain. And that's what you are. So, and I'm going to tell you right now, I could show you. This is Linux. And if I wanted to, I can load up Discord. Don't switch. And I can go, do whatever. Or I can browse the internet. Have multiple open tabs or anything like that. Or gaming wise. And this Fedora, this is Fedora. So, I mean, this is like a custom icon pack. And actually, let me see if I can find the appearance. Shit. Here it is. Colors and themes. It's called Sweet Mars, but you also stole the but you also stole the dark thing from Fedora too, along with Linux. Microsoft. The dark theme and the light theme, and the way how it looks You stole that. You actually stole that. So you're pirates and you're basically pieces of shit, fraud, piece of craps. So if I don't know what else to tell you, Microsoft. You really screwed up on yourself. You basically really screwed up. Over 3.5 billion users basically left you because of the control panel features that you removed in an update, and now more people are leaving. And now, since you are pushing for a Windows 12 release, more people are leaving because they saw the red, which is also Nazism, and we don't need none of that. We know what you are, Nadella. We know what you are. We know exactly what you are. A scamming piece of shit. So, you can take your scammer buddies from India and basically say goodbye. Goodbye. Because, like I said, I am done with Windows after you formatted 24 terabytes of data from an update that you motherfuckers did. I'm coming for you in lawsuits. Microsoft. And don't think I'll ever back down either. 24 terabytes. You screwed up. Prepare for the wrath that's coming upon you. Anyway, this is DJ Tracks. I forgot to introduce myself. I'll see you on this side. And hopefully you switch to Linux, because Microslop is getting sloppier and sloppier. They basically screwed themselves. And I'm going to say it right now. Microdix Windblows version 1.1, where your system successfully boots up, successfully and then crashes as soon as it does a full boot up, and then it restarts, and then blue screen of death. That's what Microsoft Windows is doing, version 1.1 instead of Microsoft Windows 11. Anyway, Microslop Windblows can suck my. Never mind. Peace out. This is DJ Tracks.